You have been in a room with a man who commanded it without saying a word. You noticed him. You may not have spoken to him, but something in you registered. That man is different. Respect is not given. It is not earned through performance. It is not the result of what you say about yourself. The Stoics understood something most men spend their lives chasing without realizing. Respect is a byproduct. It is what happens when a man's inner standard is visible in his outer behavior. You cannot manufacture it. You can only become someone it follows. There are 5 habits, ancient, Stoic, observable, that produce this effect. Not over years, immediately. Because the man who embodies them is instantly distinguishable from the men who do not. Before the habits, a clarification. The respect we are discussing is not the approval of strangers. It is not popularity. It is not dominance. The Stoics had a specific understanding of what it meant to be respected, and it had nothing to do with how many people admired you. It had everything to do with whether the men around you, the ones who knew you, worked beside you, depended on you, trusted you absolutely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The respect he described was earned not by argument, not by status, not by announcement, but by the daily, visible alignment of standards and behavior. That is what these 5 habits produce. Not a performance of respect, the real thing, from the people whose respect is worth having. The 3rd habit is the one most men believe they already have. Almost none of them do. Habit 1, say less than you know, mean everything you say. Epictetus wrote that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that proportion is not accidental. The man who speaks constantly signals that he requires external validation. The man who speaks rarely signals that he requires none. This is not introversion, it is economy. The Viking warrior who spoke at the thing, the Norse assembly, spoke once, fully, without repetition. His word was his weapon. He did not blunt it by using it carelessly. Before you speak in any room, ask, does this add something real, or does it simply add noise? The man who learns to ask that question before opening his mouth will discover that he says less, means more, and is listened to entirely differently within weeks. Silence is not the absence of power, it is where power accumulates. Say less, mean everything. Habit 2, do what you said you would do, without exception, without announcement. The Stoics had a word for this, fides, faithful adherence to your word. Not because someone is watching, not because the reward is worth it, because you said so, and you are a man whose word means something. In the Norse tradition, an oath was not a formality, it was a binding of your identity to an outcome. To break it was not a social embarrassment, it was a kind of self-destruction. You became a man whose word could not be trusted, and a man whose word cannot be trusted has nothing. Start small, make fewer promises, keep everyone. The men around you will notice before you do. They will begin to speak of you differently. They will bring you their real problems, not their performative ones, because you are the man who does what he says. This is the foundation of all social trust, and social trust is the foundation of all real influence. Make fewer promises, keep everyone. Habit 3, control your response to provocation, completely, every time. This is the habit most men believe they already have. Almost none of them do. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He did not write this as encouragement. He wrote it as a discipline he practiced daily in one of the most politically volatile environments in Roman history. The man who reacts, who raises his voice, who responds to provocation with provocation, who lets others dictate his emotional state, announces to every room he enters that he can be controlled, that he has a lever, and anyone who finds it can move him. The man who does not react announces the opposite. He cannot be moved without his consent, and there is nothing more commanding in any room than a man who has been provoked and chosen not to be. This is not suppression. It is not coldness. It is the discipline of choosing your response, every time, without exception, until it becomes who you are rather than what you perform. The man who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. Habit 4. Take up the right amount of space, no more, no less. The Norse held a concept called drengr, the ideal of a man who was bold but not reckless, composed but not timid. He occupied his space fully. He did not shrink from a room, and he did not attempt to fill one he hadn't earned. Physical presence is the most immediate signal of inner state. The man who walks into a room apologetically, shoulders forward, gaze down, voice trailing, is communicating his self-assessment before he speaks. The man who contracts himself in social situations is signaling that he believes he deserves less space than he occupies. This is correctable. Deliberately. Slow your walk by 10%. Lower your voice by 1 register. Occupy your chair as if you chose it. Make eye contact that does not need to break first. These are not performances of confidence. They are the physical vocabulary of a man who has done his morning ritual, kept his promises, and controlled his reactions. The body expresses what the inner life has built. Build the inner life, and the physical presence follows. Take up your space. You have earned it. Habit 5. Acknowledge what you do not know, immediately, without discomfort. The least respected men in any room are usually the most certain. The most respected are often the most honest about the limits of what they know. Socrates built an entire philosophical tradition on a single insight, that the wisest man is the one who knows the extent of his own ignorance. The Stoics absorbed this completely. Marcus Aurelius filled his private journals with questions, corrections, admissions of error, a Roman emperor holding himself to a standard of intellectual honesty that most men never apply to themselves. When you do not know something, say so, immediately, without hedging, without performing uncertainty, without the social theater of false modesty. Simply, I don't know, or I was wrong about that. The man who can say these things without flinching is trusted completely, because he has demonstrated that his certainty, when he expresses it, is real. He has no need to protect himself from being wrong, and a man with nothing to protect commands every room he enters. I don't know. 3 words that earn more trust than 1,000 confident ones. That man you noticed when you walked in. He is not special. He is not louder, taller, wealthier, or more naturally commanding than you. He has simply made different choices. He speaks less and means more. He does what he says. He cannot be provoked into reaction. He takes up exactly the space he has earned. And when he does not know something, he says so, without flinching. These are not talents. They are habits, built one decision at a time, in private, before anyone is watching. Marcus Aurelius had an empire watching him. He still did the work in private. He still asked the questions in the dark. He still held the standard on days when no one would have noticed if he had not. The man who commands a room without speaking earned that silence. One habit at a time.